Faglioli, and welcome.
So yes, a true Faglioli, and welcome to you indeed. It is me, Gomez. I'm joined by my co-host, Janky.
Aloha.
And it is... Can you believe, Buddy Boo? We're into a year's worth of this game.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Wait, goddamn, Season of Fortune was a year ago.
I know, man. Oh, just the... Oh... but do you... I don't know... I believe we've talked about this. You were in open beta, right?
Yeah.
You remember the open beta times?
I've been playing since the second balance patch. So,
Yeah.
sorry, the first balance patch, the second patch.
Because that's what I mean. Because that's what I remember. I remember being in open beta and just like the craziness of all that as well. Like when you just think about how far this game has come in a year.
There has been some things from the past that it's kind of hilarious that they were allowed to exist for so long. Like a certain French woman. Now I think about it.
Let us get into this because yes, what we're going to be doing is talking about the year of Runeterra, talking about our favorite moments, decks, like cards and whatnot, all the things that have gone on, changes and that, and also just quickly, briefly talking about the small patch notes, as well as the fact that obviously in this patch note, it's now going to be like they're doing their year celebration. I can't remember, I don't know what date it's on, but from a date, you just literally have to log in every single day for 7 days. I believe there's going to be a little bit of leeway with that. We literally you can log in any 7 days, because like what they've done before with this is if you don't log in every day, it's just the day that you log in, you get the next reward type thing, you know what I mean? So for 7 days, and they're actually giving away a lot of free, two free emotes. They're giving away Icon and actually also a Guardian as well, like the little Poro Guardian with his little.
I really like it. I do.
I do as well. It's like looking for it, and a champion wild card as well. So and some prismatic stuff. So it's good all round for players old and new, because I guess for new players as well, they get that champion wild card, which is going to be quite big for them. And for old players, you've got the prismatic chest.
It doesn't. You are right. It doesn't say a date, but I'm gonna assume it either starts a week before the 27th or it starts on the 27th, because that will be the actual birthday of Runeterra.
Yes.
So maybe it starts on the 20th and it counts up. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
That also makes this Poro the spiritual successor to the blue Poro that they gave.
Yes, the blue Poro.
When we left beta.
Oh, I remember. It got seen for a little while at the beginning there, that just slowly died off. But this Poro is going to be around for a little bit as well.
Yeah. I'm holding on to the blue Poro in my collection so that one day it can be rare.
Exactly. One day.
Yeah.
But shall we just talk about we briefly, just a little bit before this podcast, we're just talking about it, but the new emotes, just what is going I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be in a game where literally all I get is somebody spamming a piece of cake, like Gary holding a cupcake going,
Garen's jawline is dead ass a 90-degree angle.
I think we're calling all viewers. If you guys can work out if these are a reference to any kind of meme or something like that, because I've got no idea.
Yeah, it's too purposeful for it not to be a reference to something, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Exactly, yeah. It's just but I've got no idea what it is. But it's, honest to God, I do. Yeah, again, they're always on par with their meme stuff. In all honesty, I do, or their emote stuff. Sorry, so yeah, good times. They will see some use.
I love the details in the card back as well. The blue Poro is in the background, licking the screen, which I think is a cute touch. I like these. I like these a lot. I would probably pay money for these, and but I do just throwing money at Riot. So
that is true.
It doesn't say much.
But luckily enough, they are giving it to us for free. Which obviously is just a nice little thing, we made it for a year. Have it. So, good times. But yeah, so shall we just quickly touch over, because they just did a few little bug fixes, and it's basically more improvement of life stuff. We just pick a few things. The main thing is actually the fact that they've changed some of the animations, right? In terms of the fact that they've now changed it so that when you reshuffle something into your deck, there's a little kind of animation that happens on there. Sharp sight, when you give something sharp sight, now like it goes slightly kind of purplish and like looking like
Hmm.
it can defend an elusive. Um, I believe like spell shield, they've kind of changed it so it goes a little bit more like closer to the unit rather than just this big purple bubble around it.
Hmm.
So they've done like a few little quality of life changes. I believe there's more, but that's my mind one that can
Uh,
remember.
it's also recall and I think that might be it. But I really like that the shuffle animation uses your own card back. That's really sweet.
I mean, the shuffle animation is amazing, right? I'm loving the fact, that, yeah, literally, which like I just or any card that shuffles. Which, by the way, I learned in Lab of Legends that does actually include Pesky Spectre when he shuffles into the opponent's deck.
Well, the one that got me is the 2 cost. It's a really popular Shadow Isles card. Come on, I know this. Stalking Shadows.
Stalking Shadows, yeah,
Stalking Shadows, when it shuffles the rest onto the bottom or whatever it says,
yeah.
it does the animation, which makes Stalking Shadows as a burst speed spell take like 5 seconds to resolve. It's so thick on animations now.
But I do love it because it just shows the fact that the deck is shuffling. I
Yeah,
think
I like it a lot. I don't like Spell Shield. The first time I saw Spell Shield was when it came down on Aurelion Sol, and I was like squinting at Aurelion, like, have they reworked you? Do you not have Spell Shield anymore?
Where's
Like,
your purple bubble?
yeah, where's your bubble, boy? It is like real invisible. It's not like Barrier. Barrier clings to the card, right? But it's like very obvious. Whereas Spell Shield is pretty easy to miss. I will at some point fall to that.
Oh, yes, the other thing as well is which are aura cards. Cards that give auras now have got a little thing that goes around them as well. That's
Oh,
what I think
it's
remember.
always sunny, man.
It's
Yeah.
always sunny, man. Yes, they've got auras now, which just means that you can know that okay, right, that's doing an aura of effect type thing, which is just like it's handy to know. I mean, obviously, most of the time if you're playing it, you know that that's got an aura, but I guess to your opponent and to new players, it's like okay, right, that's doing something. I better look at what that's doing.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing that's literally a balance change. They've just put it in the bug fixes. That's worth mentioning. Crimson Bloodletter, that dumb 1 cost, was
yes,
really weird when it came to cards that come with multiple bodies. So it no longer activates twice if you play something like, say, Brom. But I know it was also working with the 3 costs that makes a keg or 1 cost unit, so on and so forth. It would grow twice
yeah.
and damage both of them. So yeah, that's been
The,
significantly nerfed
they
in my.
fixed that. Can I just say I lost the game because of Crimson Bloodletter. Like
Like
but-
doing this interaction, or
no.
oh,
I lost
okay.
I lost the game to Crimson Bloodletter because I needed defense, right? I
Mhm.
needed to go wide on my opponent. Literally, I had the spell to kill them next turn, but I didn't have the mana for it this turn, and so I just needed just to survive for one more turn. So I was like, you know what? I'll go wide on the board. Everything will be fine. I throw out my I can't remember his name. Oh god damn it!
What to do?
The free cost in Bilgewater, who
Uh,
gives a
basic guy,
officer, petty officer.
petty officer. Yeah,
I throw out my petty officer to make a 1 cost unit so that I can go wide on the field of play. It summons this and it kills the
kills both of them.
it
Yeah.
killed the the bloody no. What is like he summoned this and it's a
Yeah.
1 cost, but it killed him
Oh,
because
wait,
the
what?
summon
It works like that?
you know, it works like that because it's such a weird way that the summoning works on that. That literally
Yeah.
he summoned the Crimson, so that went that side of him, but then that counted as killing him, even though he summoned it. It comes on the board before he does, then he drops and he does like I just needed one space covered. No, and then literally just went straight into death and died. But it was really funny. And
Yeah,
the fact that interaction happens that way was
that is an excellent clip. That's really good.
yeah, that was really good. There's the only other really notable things I think is the fact that Mimic can no longer copy itself. How many times are they gonna like? It's to me, it's one of those things whereby Mimic, when it first entered the game, was actually a really interesting card.
Yeah.
Like its ability to make exact copies, I just felt like that was so good with Tri-Beam in Populator, just because like literally like it kept it at the level. and then they nerfed it because, and the comedy is they nerfed it not because of that. They nerfed it because it could make copies of champions from the other side of the build, which it pulled if you copied their
Yeah.
champion spell. So they ended up changing it to make it so it was just a base theory, so it meant that it wasn't copying the champion. But then that meant that what you call it, Tri-beam got nerfed in that as well in terms of like that ability of using it with it. And now they're making it so you can't use Mimic with Mimic. It does make sense because obviously that was getting used a lot with Ezreal to basically just like smash down your opponent because it's once it gets down to a one cost, just Mimic, copy and Mimic, and then just keep rinse and repeat until that what you call it, you just do like a lot of damage in one turn. But it's a shame because it's such a really interesting card when it first joined the game. It still is an interesting card. I'm not saying that it's finished like it's a finish, but it's just I wish it still had that ability for Tri-beam. That's all
Yeah,
I'll
like
say.
what really ruffles my Jim Jams is that they removed the word exact and then put it in bug fixes instead of in nerfs. So like it was so easy for people to go on ladder and play what was a reasonably okay deck was LeBlanc Ezreal and then learn the hard way that it didn't work anymore.
Yeah, no, I actually got somebody comment on my video because obviously you know that I made a video way back
Yeah.
when this first joined about Tri-beam. I got a video, a message from somebody saying like, "Oh, would you like a?" I crafted the cards for this deck,
Uh
and I crafted the cards for this deck, and it doesn't work. And I was just like, "Oh, I'm so like, because." And I said to him, "I'm so sorry. I hope that you can, because you know that you can like refund some cards and that. I
yeah.
was like, I hope that you can refund them. I do apologize. Obviously, like you need to look. I always put on my videos what patch it's from, so you do have to check the patch. But obviously, as you say, it
Yeah.
wasn't clear in those patch notes that was a thing because it was just in the little bug fixes at the bottom. But yeah, that's one of those things that now it's a bit of a shame because it was a really funny deck. But it's all well and good. Oh, and Snooze Bottom as well now. His thing should his little mumble sprite should now appear as being elusive. Because do you remember how many people complained about that when Trevor Snoozebottom first entered the game? Because the little thing that he made just look like a standard unit, but it was
Yeah,
elusive.
it didn't have either of its keywords like visible on the card. It was just like intrinsic. You had to read Trevor to figure out why you weren't able to block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've done that too. They took a little bit of time on that one, but I guess.
Yeah, it's only been like a year.
I mean, when did Trevor come out actually? Because he must have come out the
He,
same time that Lulu did, right? I'm
no, he
guessing.
was the Ionian mythic that came out instead of a landmark for Ionia, so he would have been the Call of the Mountain.
Oh, okay. Okay. I
Or
wasn't
the first set. No, sorry, the first set with landmarks, which was the second portion of Targon, right?
I believe so. I
I forget
believe.
what that set was even called.
I believe so. Yes.
Call of the Mountain, then something, then Cosmic Creation.
Yes.
Um,
The,
I
the,
forget.
the something Hoodafoos. That's the one.
Yeah,
I believe that's where it came
Google
from.
time.
It was probably something that said like monuments of power.
Yeah.
Monuments of power now because it was something to do with landmarks. That's how I
Yeah.
remember that one. But yeah, no, like and the rest of the stuff is kind of quite standard in terms of the patch notes. But let's just go through because I said this game's been out for a year, so let's go through like everything that we remember,
A
experienced,
trip through memory lane.
and whatnot. So, do you remember in the times of beta when there was so much Ezreal Ash with Elnux? Do you remember
Oh
when
my
Elnux?
god! Oh,
Do
I
you remember?
actually didn't.
Do you remember when Elnux was actually a thing that was actually really like top meta?
Like the most feels bad, most meta card in the entire game was Troop of Elnux. I completely forgot.
Yes, and that was right at the beginning. Like, this is the thing that people won't know what the hell we're talking about today if they're new to the game.
Yeah,
But
it used to dig 10 cards deep.
it used to be devastating. It's such a shame that card got nerfed because that actually made it so good, right?
When
Into,
when when you heard the tiny voice line that was ooh, like just like the sound of like a camel goat creature going ooh, that was the point where you had to clench your butt cheeks and wait to see how hard you'd just been fucked. Because
yes,
like as it entered, there was that 0.5 second delay before their board was filled with horse.
yep,
It was oh yeah, I do remember.
yep. So that is a thing that people like probably will not remember. But yes, as you say, it used to go for the top 10 cards. It got nerfed to only the top 6 cards. And if you can imagine, like, obviously, Troop is for the top 6 cards in your deck, summon each Elnuk that has been shuffled in. And just PNC with that, the abilities of like copying and making so many of these, and 10 cards is a lot of cards for that to delve through to try and find any Elnuk. Um, yeah, no, it used to be quite devastating. It's a shame. It's one of those things where it was such an epic thing, and now you just don't really see it too much anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about Epic. I personally, I'm gonna say it's a good thing that they removed that they practically deleted that card.
I mean,
Uh,
it's a lot more fairer now, and all I want is for Riot to add more Elnuks. That's all I'm gonna say. Like every patch, I'm just waiting, or every single like new card, sorry, new cards. I'm just waiting for them to add just an extra Elnuk, just to make the Elnuk package just that little bit more
they never
enticing.
will. They put in the card that said draw an Elnark just to fuck with you.
I mean, they did. They really did, because like literally, like Call of the Wild card. Look, at the time, I was like, "Oh my god, this is Elnuks will finally be a thing again." They weren't.
Yeah, yeah.
They weren't. I'm not gonna lie. There's not enough in that package right now. There's only 2 of them in the game. Just want more. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, no. So that was the thing. Is there anything that you remember from beta times that's just like,
From beta, all I remember was playing against Shadow Isles and going out of my turn 5, having had a reasonably good early game, feeling confident, but also like despondent, or not despondent. Feeling like turn 6 is here and it's about time that my opponent drops their pony and I lose the game.
yes,
Hecarim on 6. I don't remember what was his stat line initially. He was like a 5/6 with Overwhelm.
yeah,
That when
he had a better stat line. Yeah, I remember that. I can't
yeah,
remember what it was.
yeah. Hecarim was I think a 5/6 with Overwhelm that when he attacked made 2 3/2s with Ephemeral. So he demanded so much resources in blocking, at least if you didn't have hard removal for him. All I remember from open beta, like specifically open beta, is Shadow Isles dominating the ladder.
Hmm.
Which is not, it's not fond memories, but at this point I was absolutely obsessed with Jinx Draven, which was much worse at the time. But
I mean, that got better and better, didn't it? Let's be honest, Jinx Draven. Like, I mean, you think about how discard aggro, how like literally it always ends up somewhere in the top percentages, just because of like is actually like a really powerful deck and really fast deck as
yeah,
well. How that progressed slowly but surely with like different cards that got added and whatnot, because it like back in those days it wasn't as powerful as it is today.
oh yeah, no, not at all. Because back in those days we didn't have Porokaden,
Hmm.
we didn't have um something else. There's something else missing that was really important. I think Porokaden was the big one that tipped it over, but I can't remember right now. There was something else. I need to sneeze 1 sec.
That's fine. No, it's all good.
Okay, I'm good.
Good, good,
I,
good,
I,
good.
muted my mic so you didn't have to.
I was waiting to hear it. That's what I was waiting around for it.
We good. We good.
We good. We good. But yeah, no, something like so many things, and then obviously once we left beta, we ended up in what will always be known. I feel like to all players who were around at that time, the nostalgia, the nostalgia time that was Rising Tides, that everyone still to this day who was there says was the best expansion.
Is that so?
I mean,
Let me take you a trip down memory lane. You've queued up. You're so excited to play your new Bilgewater deck. No one's figured out scouts are good yet. Everyone's fucking slamming Gangplank or Swain or whatever. And again, no one's figured out how to play Swain properly yet. All people know is Boom Crew Rookie on 2. A 2-cost 1/4 that when it attacks deals 2 damage to the enemy nexus. Or a 2-cost 2/3 that when it takes damage and survives deals 2 to the enemy nexus. This was the time of Nox PNC Burn at its absolute worst. This patch was a nuclear winter for anyone who wanted to play anything that wasn't Shadow Isles, and everyone just chooses to forget that portion of this patch.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, to be fair, you're absolutely right. That used to be insane. Bloody Crimson. What was it? Crimson. Well, I can't think of the damn name of the card right now. Crimson Disciple.
Oh yeah.
Crimson Disciple. For those of you who don't remember that card, now it is when I survive damage, deal 1 damage to the enemy nexus. That used to be deal 2 damage to the enemy nexus. And when you think about how many cards can deal damage to that card, obviously we've got a lot more now than what we had at the time. But it still came out with Imperial Demolitionist, or yes, that's the word,
Yep.
which basically deal 1 and deal 2 damage to the enemy nexus. So honestly, those two were a match made in heaven in terms of the fact that it was just literally play Crimson Disciple, play Imperial Demolitionist, and that was 4 damage to the enemy nexus. Just that.
To give you a sense of perspective as to how obnoxious this deck was on release, they nerfed Legion Rearguard, they nerfed Boom Kuroki, they nerfed Crimson Disciple, they buffed Kindly Tavern Keeper, and the deck was still above a 50% win rate in patch 1.2.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, people who remember what is this set even called? Season of Fortune as being this like perfect, smooth release are literally lying to themselves.
but it was the first time we got ordered all the things like
Grizzled Ranger was a 4-1! That summoned a 3-cost 4/4, which by the way was also main deckable.
I mean, there were so many cards back that had to get nerfed. Like when you figure out how many cards got nerfed at that point,
Standalone still cost 3.
I mean, at one point, wasn't it? Didn't Make It Rain cost 2?
2? Yeah.
Make It Rain used to cost 2.
God damn. This patch was a wildfire and everybody's wrong. Yeah. Demeditation used to cost 4 and 2 if you had it like online.
I still think that the biggest thing that people used to moan about in those days was Riptide Rex with his 7. He used to have 7 cannon.
True.
I swear that loads of people used to complain about Riptide Rex's 7 cannon fires.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really funny. The fact that he got a nerf just before Targon got released, from what I remember. He got a nerf literally the patch before Targon got released, I believe. Riptide Rex got nerfed down to 6 cannons, used to have 7, and then Targon had so much heal. It was like, go back, press the reverse button, press the reverse.
Riot Games literally nerfed Riptide Rex going, oh, you think this is obnoxious? You ain't seen shit yet. Oh no, it's going back to a pre-Targon time, like it's funny and all, but like this was not a perfect time. If I remember the meta correctly, it was PNC Burn, standalone Fiora, which also ran Solitary Monk as a 4/3 with Elusive, if you remember those times, back when that card still existed.
Solitary Monk.
Yeah, I honestly, I have very positive memories of standalone as a deck. I actually enjoyed that deck because I am a disgusting cretin. But playing nothing on turn 1 and 2, playing my 4/3 with Elusive with no downside, and then playing standalone when my opponents try to remove it. So leaving me with like what would usually be a 7/3 on board because they would have to like get excited at usually because I was up against Burn, and then having them surrender because they just burned their get excited. Oh yeah, that was a good feeling.
Yeah.
But then there was also Bannerman, which at the time still gave +1/+1 to itself. I'm actually getting nostalgic. This meta was disgusting, but it was my disgusting. This was my time. This was when I first got into competitive.
That's what I forgot as well. Bannerman was so powerful back in the day,
yeah.
like in terms of how many people ran Bannerman. Like it's so crazy when you think about like certain cards that you don't see about too much these days, but how prevalent they were back in the day.
The funny thing about Bannerman at this point, you're playing against a early curve mid-range deck. If your opponent missed turn 1 and they missed turn 2, nowadays if you're playing against Bannerman, you can actually be, sorry, not Bannerman, Demacia variants, you can be reasonably certain you have a good chance of winning this game, right? You don't, because the unit heavy deck doesn't want to float on turn 1 and 2, right? But in the old days, your opponents whiff and they float on turn 1, they float on turn 2, they play Badger Bear on turn 3, and then they play Bannerman on turn 4, a board of only 2 units, but somehow their board contains a 4/4 and a 5/5. And it's like they have whiffed as hard as they could have whiffed, near enough, and they still are beating your chops in.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a good time to be Demacia.
For Demacia! Yes.
Before they patched in Targon and deleted the concept of mid-range.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of those things. People complain about Targon, but I still feel like it brings some interesting things. Like, don't get me wrong, it's got insane amount of heals. The Celestials are crazy and everything, but there still are some really interesting like concepts and that include Targon, in my opinion. Still to this day.
The best thing to happen. Oh, this was the reason that they discard aggro got a buff. I remember now. The other thing that changed about discard aggro was on the Targon's release. They buffed Zonite Urchin and Slump Dredger. Only one of those two cards ended up seeing play, but they Zonite Urchin, remember, used to be Death Rattle draw a card.
Yes, no, you're
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yes.
which that's my favorite thing to happen in the Targon patch. The entire thing.
I mean, it helped that it's helped that archetype out a lot. But yeah, no, it's just like crazy things have happened since then when you think about it, and just yeah, no, it's with obviously we then moved on from the which it tides into Targon being a thing,
Yeah,
and that I still feel like there's really good moments in Targon. Like I said, everyone now classes it as the most hated region,
yeah.
but
I think that's fair to say.
it's much good. But I still feel it had interesting. And also, people need to remember how many times Targon's been hit as well. Now, like upon release, the old Hush. Hush always is one which comes into the play. Do you know how many times Hush has been hit in terms of originally it used to give a fleeting copy every like so you use this and get a fleeting copy. You'd use that one and get a you could cast it
It,
theoretically 4 times. You could cast Hush 4 times in the same turn, like if you were at max
I
mana.
don't think that's true, is it? Because it used to be a two cost, right?
No, it used
Didn't
to be
it?
free. What
The
did
first
it
time,
release as free? Because I thought it released as a free as a fleeting.
and then
Because
they put it down, and then yeah, and
yeah,
then yeah. It costs one
because
more when you cast it. Sorry,
Because you
yeah,
need to remember, this joined the game, I believe, at the same time that Tri-Beam Impropulated joined the game. And I believe the idea was the synergy to
yeah,
work
yeah,
Tri-Beam Impropulated with that, because obviously Tri-Beam goes up every single time you use a free cost. That is a free cost which could make more copies of itself, if you know what I mean, meaning you could buff up the Tri-Beam Impropulated. I believe that was the initial conception when they put Hush into the game in its original concept.
yeah. And then two nerfs later, they nerfed it to a two cost.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
confusing times.
Yeah, no, because I mean, like, yeah, because for people who don't remember the history of Hush,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. You go, you go. I think
so
you remember it better than me.
from what I remember, you might have to correct me. Hush started the game as a free cost. Whenever you cast, when you cast to get a fleeting copy, which costs the same. So it used to cost free. So literally every single copy used to cost free. They then nerfed it. That made every single time that you used Hush, after using Hush, it still made a fleeting copy, but it made a fleeting copy which cost one more every single time you used it. So you'd use the first one for free, then the next one would cost 4, then the next one would cost 5, like type thing. For what I remember, each time the fleeting copy got slowly but surely more and more expensive. And then they got rid of the ability of it doing any kind of creating more copies of itself, and it went to 2 cost.
The
And
most
then
confusing one.
and then it went back up to free cast. I believe that was the history of Hush and how many times that card got hit.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. And the funny thing is, like, it was so many steps to remove one line of text.
I mean, it was. I believe there was a bit of complication in the wording
Yeah,
of it, which is why the first nerf, when they did the first nerf, because I think people cried out for it so much. I believe that nerf happened on a time where it wasn't actually, like how like they sometimes throw things in, like so the patch notes, like the one that we've had recently, like these are like bug fixy type things. Normally, so it's a bug fixy one, a proper nerf buff or famously, then a bug fixy type one. Then that so it's basically every 4 weeks technically you'd get a proper fix, and in those other like the 2 weeks in between those you get the bug fixy ones. So I believe it was just in a bug fixy one where they didn't have the time to fully fix it properly, and
yeah,
so they just like did it so that because the coding would have taken a bit more to get rid of that fleeting copy. They gave you the fleeting copy, but it cost one more. I believe that's when that came in, and then they nerfed it, so it didn't make a fleeting copy at all. And because they were like, well, it's no longer making a fleeting copy anymore. This is a useless card, right? No one's going to use it. We'll put it down to 2 costs. That sounds fair.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you
I
remember? Do you remember how many people at the beginning when that happened said that this is a dead card because it's just a weaker purify, because obviously purify is a 2 cost that lasts forever. Like literally, there were people. I remember the subreddit going crazy saying like, oh, this is just a poor man's purify, and it's like I don't think you realize how important affecting champions is, because Purify can't hit champions, and at certain points in the game, at the right time, using Hush on a champion is devastating.
Yeah. I would like to challenge something you said a minute ago, where you said that Targon has been hit a lot since its release. True that they did touch Hush, but since its release, they have buffed, and this is like just, I think, some of the cards. They have buffed, sure, Grandfather Rumble doesn't count, but they have. Uh, they've buffed Mountain Goat, that used to be a 3/1. They've buffed Tarek, Cygnus the Moonstalker, Eclipse Dragon is a huge one. Like, they keep buffing Targon, and also they released Aphelios. Like, since Targon's release, there have been more patch notes where it got a significant buff than a significant nerf, would be my assessment.
I mean, I'll give you that. I'll give you that it has got a lot of buffs. Aphelios got hit massively
True, 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 true.
in recent times, and Veiled Temple actually, its main like purpose that was, I mean, obviously it's still powerful, but Veiled Temple not giving you strength anymore, like every single turn, that's actually been quite big, because its whole idea was people were building up one unit and then basically using that unit to atrocity. And if
It
you
still
didn't have
gives power, it doesn't give toughness, right?
it still gives power.
Yeah.
It doesn't like that. It used to give +1/+1.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what I mean is that people used to be able to get a unit, buff it to an insane degree, and then atrocity the core. They can still do that, but its health isn't going up as well. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you can still kill that unit theoretically with spells and doing damage if you don't just have an immediate removal through vengeance or
Yeah, yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
because that's actually quite big. The fact that literally what that used to do is they used to make such a big card. You'd have all these damage spells, and they'd be going, ha ha, keep it coming. These damage spells are meaningless to me, as the unit kept getting buffed. So that was actually like a quite a big nerf. But it's also like there are people who now just say like, Aphelios, like Veiled Temple took a bullet for Aphelios, because like basically I know that Aphelios took significant nerfs as well, but I mean people liked Veiled Temple the way that it was and considered that it didn't need to get hit as it did. I
Yeah.
think it did, because I think that the +1/+1 was ridiculous. Hence why we also saw the nerf happen to the Demacian landmark, because we know how much giving a health stat can be devastating. I know that gave health, and that was just for the turn with the Demacian one. The Veiled Temple was a continuous thing, and you could continuously get more.
Yeah, no, I think Veiled Temple probably could have dodged a nerf that one patch, just to see how the meta settled, but you are right that it would probably end up getting nerfed sometime in the future. The card is just like kind of problematic.
Yeah.
Uh, Talking about like taking a trip down memory lane
Oh
still,
yes.
though, is it has enough time passed where I can be nostalgic about Go Get It, because I kind of am.
I mean,
I want to go back to a
I
simpler
mean,
time.
oh, do you remember when that was so prevalent? Literally, it made such a powerful deck, right? When the
Yeah,
KD,
yeah. When the KDA cards first came out and everyone was playing Feel the Rush, Go Get It, I honestly, like, I would rather take that meta over this one.
it was in the same time, and so many people actually started complaining. Feel the Rush was so powerful when it first came. Think
Yeah.
about how many people like that Trundle Tryndamere deck in Shadow Isles. Just that was devastating back in the
But
day.
Gomez, it's just a worse War Mothers.
You fool!
Oh my god. There have been so many hilarious hot takes throughout history.
I
Like,
mean, there really has. It really has.
What is it? Moonlight, whatever the god, Moonlight Affliction is gonna break the game.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was the classic
Barely see
one.
barely seen play. I mean, it does still see play, but it barely sees as much play as people were saying. They were like, "Oh, double hush! It's devastating!" And
Uh,
also, they need to stop you from blocking.
I've had some embarrassing ones myself, actually.
Was
So far on public record, the most embarrassing things I have said about cards' power levels. The most embarrassing one is I don't think Burblefish will see play.
Yeah, I don't see, but
Yeah.
like Zoe is just a meme deck. Like
Yes.
Zoe will never see play outside of memes.
Riven is the most powerful card to come out of this set.
Oh,
And my favorite, because this one is just like not really on record. Not a lot of people know that I said this, but I keep on getting reminded. Uh, Shavana is the best card to come out of this set.
to be fair, Shyvana, like, at the time of her release, yeah, no, you're absolutely wrong. Like, she was the worst. She was the worst out of the
What?
champions that came out in that set. She was the worst. But I got a lot
What?
of people
Why,
thought that.
why you gotta do me dirty like that? To be fair to you, you were absolutely wrong.
No, but to be fair to you, at that time, so many people said that exact same comment, and I was gonna say, to be fair, now she's actually quite an okay champion.
Yeah,
Just
after
giving her
two
fury,
buffs.
just exactly after two, but giving her fury is like should have just given her fury from the start. But
Yeah.
yeah, literally when she came out, that was the patch. Was that so? That was a free. Was that one of the ones where free champions came out?
Yeah,
So
Shavana. Oh goddamn,
was that Shyvana, Tom Kench?
Kench, Soraka. Yeah,
Yeah, so that was that one. Obviously, Soraka and Tom Kench were like some people laughed at Kench, right? When like
yeah,
his thing first came out, it's just like oh, and then he paired with Soraka, and it's like oh, this is
yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, and obviously, yeah, Savannah. Everyone thought she was gonna be good with dragons and everything, but that barely saw play for a
On
long time. So it's getting a bit of a rise now, and I honestly just like giving her that buff of fury is was amazing. But yeah, let's talk about some of the things that have happened to champions because there's been a number of champions who, throughout our time, have changed a lot. So Ezreal, Ezreal's been one of those guys who moved around a lot. For people who do not remember, Ezreal used to just be his level 2 form that didn't used to have that text where if it's like a spell deal 1 damage and if it's targeted then do 2. It just used to be straight up just do 2 damage. Just any spell, just do 2 damage. So literally all of your mushroom puffs and puff cap mushrooms, boom, just that one cost spell 2 mana to the enemy nexus. Each one of them burst speed. Used to do,
Karma Ezreal. Ah, yes,
yeah.
I know it well.
And so I might be wrong with this because he might have been something different in beta that I can't remember. But he went from like target 8 at some point to target 10, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
I
if you
believe that to be true. Yes.
yeah,
They did. I'm trying to find the like a first ever preview patch because that was when he got initially reworked, but I'm having difficulty finding it.
mm. Because
Uh,
I know at one point he went from targeting 8 to targeting 10, and then he went all the way back down to this target 6, but with the change to his level 2. So Ezra used to have to target 10 times, which basically took him out of most decks other than Bilgewater, because Bilgewater had like Riptide Rex and what's his face, Make It Rain. I think like it knocked him out of a lot of different decks that did at the time.
yeah, I'm just trying to find his initial version. Yeah. Old level up, you've targeted 10 plus enemies, and then going from wait, hold on, you targeted 10. Yeah. He went from 8 to 10, and then he got complete. He was basically deleted from the game, and they put him from 10 to 6 with his new level up condition.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
the one.
and the funny thing is like people were saying that for a long time. That literally just all you got to do is make his level up do 1 damage or something. Like, admittedly, and then they made so there was still a chance of doing 2 damage, but he was crazy. Just the amount of burst speed spells and things, especially as you say with Karma. Those spells happening twice. There's him going pew 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 like in the day, and that was a post Targ. That was like a pre Targon era, right? When he was doing all that stuff. So he didn't even have the crazy
Yes.
heals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Didn't even have the crazy heals of that. So that was quite crazy. Do you remember? Do you remember what Lee Sin's original spell was?
Yes, it was Lee Sin's Dragon Fury.
Yes! Dragon Rage, the 7-cost Dragon Rage spell used to actually be Lee Sin's spell. And do you know what? The man barely saw any play. Because that spell, like, literally, because if you got another one of him in hand, it was a 7-cost thing. He was the same thing. They made that change, and Lee was forever put back into the meta.
Let's not forget, he did used to be a 6 cost.
Oh yeah, no, that's true as well. Yes, no, he used to cost 6, and his champion spell used to be 7.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
used to be a 6 cost 3/6, I think.
I believe so. I can't cite along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just about, so those changes like that just kicked him so much into, and he's now playable.
I have a challenging one for you. Do you remember what Callista used to do? Because for the life of me, I fucking don't.
Oh my god! Now that's the thing.
Initial Callista?
It changed. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
For people who don't know, Callista was the joke champion of LOR. But like before Vladimir, before Braum, and let's not forget Braum also got reworked, but we'll probably get to that.
Yes.
Before Vlad, before Braum, Callista was a joke, unplayable garbage. And if I cannot remember her text. For
Did
the
she
life
have
of
to,
me, I can't remember her text, but she was a 3-cost 4/2 with no abilities. Like
I thought that she had to kill 4 units back in the day, didn't she? At some point, I think it was like
I know at the
C4
very least
units
she
died.
didn't have fearsome. Like
Hmm.
she died to Mystic Shot. She didn't have fearsome. When you played her, she bonded with an ally. I think.
You know,
And like
she had some really weird stuff. You're absolutely right. I can't actually remember what the very original Callista was something stupid that I
yeah,
can't
it was
remember.
something dumb. Uh,
And obviously,
I
which
don't know.
it Black Spear used to cost 4 as well, or something, didn't it? Like,
Black Spear initially used to they had to nerf Black Spear. I think it was like a 2 cost or something, right? But it dealt 3 damage,
oh, you know, you're
and then
absolutely
it
yeah,
was a 3 cost that
yeah.
dealt 3, and then it was a 3 cost that dealt 4.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So she's seen a number of changes as well. You're absolutely, yeah, like in terms of when you think about it, she's seen a lot of changes.
Oh, you want obnoxious? Like, let's remember old Thresh for a second. 5 cost 3/5. I've seen 3+ enemies die to level up, and whenever an enemy dies, heal me for 1. That was a
Oh,
Thresh on release was something else.
oh! I mean, it sounds disgusting.
Yeah, that
When you
was
think about that in nowadays terms, if that was a thing, it's
yeah,
devastating.
3 enemies to level me as opposed to 6 units. But the whole whenever an enemy dies, heal me for 1 was so gross. They removed the healing text and gave him 1 health in return. Poor Thresh, dude.
But yeah, no, but like honestly, all the changes. Do you remember when Trundle got changed? Because obviously, like Trundle used to be like quite prominent in the meta as well. Which, to be fair, he was actually really powerful at the time, so it's understandable that he got nerfed. I'm trying to even remember what the hell happened.
His pillar was a 0/8 and he was a 4/6 with regen.
Oh yeah, he had sick. He had the extra health stat, and with regen, devastating. You think about it, like how did some of these cards? How did some of these cards get released in their initial form?
Well, if we're talking about singular stat changes, like one number changing and completely changing the power level of the
Oh
cards,
yes, yes.
Vi was a 2/5.
I thought that you were gonna say Brom changing one stat.
Oh
Like,
yeah, fuck
Brom,
yeah.
Brom changing one stat. For those of you who do not remember, they actually changed him to give him just one attack. That was it. All they did was just go, well, Brom's not seeing any play. Nobody's doing anything with Brom. We'll give the man one attack. Brom went insane for a little while, and then they were like, "Yeah, no, let's just change that. Let's just change that back."
So Braum was an absolute joke on release, right? Because he used to be a 4-cost 0/5 with Challenger and Regenerate, and no other text except his level up condition. The when I survive damage for the first time, summon a mighty Poro was
Yeah,
not in his card
he
text.
didn't have that. You're right.
They gave that to him, and also one power, and oh my god!
He went and said the mustachioed man. Ha ha! Brovy's on the job. You would hear that in every match.
Oh god.
Oh, good times. We need the mustachioed man back.
I will leave the following segment up to you. Do you remember Old Heimerdinger?
Oh shit! I can't like literally. I'm trying to remember what he used to do.
It's they swapped his 6 and 3 cost turret.
Oh, yeah. No, back in the day, Weimar, because it was called Weimar, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Weimar, when literally, but yet again, for those of you who do not know, Heimerdinger's free cost turret used to be the elusive one. And when you consider the fact that also at that time, because when I say Weimar, Weimar was actually a really like crazy concoction that involved Heimer with Targon, but I believe this was still at the time when Hush gave you another copy of Hush, a fleeting copy of Hush, so you could get. There were so many different ways of getting the free cost turret that you could build a board of elusive free costs very easily, very quickly, and also very consistently with Flash of Brilliance, Hush. Can't remember what else was in that pool at the time, but literally, boom, all of that. And if you didn't have answers for it every single time, that damage would just like smash into you. If you imagine how Burblefish like is slash like a was in terms of the fact that suddenly just all of these elusive Burble fishes are coming at you, the 3-1 stat line. That was what that was. That
Yeah.
was that in the day.
Heimerdinger was the OG unfair board state. Like boards, he was a board in a box. You played him, and he might have been a 1/3, but boy howdy did he represent a lot of stats.
Mm, he did. Like, and those elusive stats, that's the thing. It's like it makes you think now. How did they make Burblefish the way that they did, knowing that this was a thing before Burblefish even entered the game? That people were just like, "This is a little bit too powerful."
Well, I suppose it was because you had to draw multiple Burblefish in theory to. It's like it's. I could see them thinking it was not going to be as good as it was, as most of the community thought. In fact, so yeah, I can't really blame them for that. But
I'm a little bit disappointed in myself because I even remember making the meme. I remember
yeah,
making a meme picture of like the Wolverine like stroking the picture, like like crying thing. I remember making like edited Heimer's face on it and just like flash of brilliance and the old turret, the old elusive turret. Like, I remember making that
yeah.
ages ago, like, like it feels like years ago.
Ryan 4 score in 65 whatever years in the past.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Heimer. I still love him. He's still like the best champ in the game. But
Now, if I remember correctly, Anivia used to be a 4/3 for 6 that couldn't block, and when it attacked, it dealt 1 damage to all enemies.
oh,
But
you're right. And Nivea saw a number of different changes throughout the
she never used to be enlightened. I remember this. She couldn't block. It had nothing to do with enlighten. You had to kill her, so presumably you played her with Shadow Isles. You had to like eat her like you do with the 2-cost 1/1.
Mm.
And she had last breath transform me into Agnivia, and then Agnivia had at the start of the round transform me back.
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
no, it didn't need the so you could actually get that out quite quickly.
yeah. You could level her up on 7.
Mm.
Was the issue, and I wasn't playing at this point, but I did have friends that were playing, and I'm on good authority that she was the most obnoxious thing to ever be in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I remember hearing as well, because I wasn't playing during that time. I think that was post open. Oh, so like pre
That was
open.
the very first patch, so
Yeah.
this is the one patch that I missed out on.
Mm. And they also so because then Anivia saw a lot of different changes throughout her time. Because didn't she used to cost 7 at one point?
I believe so. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. When they first reworked her, she had exactly the text you see nowadays, but she was a 7 cost.
yeah, she used to cost 7, and I believe didn't at one stage the egg go up to 2 health?
Maybe.
I I
I
I
don't know.
I think that the egg at one stage went up to 2 health, and
That
then
sounds familiar.
they end up changing. That's a slow. It's like yeah, Anivia's got a number of like if you go back through the chronicles of time,
Here's
so
one that a lot of people might not know, actually. This one's really funny. Lux used to make a 6 cost laser. So when she leveled up, she was a 5/6 with barrier, with on attack create final spark in hand. And final spark was a 6 cost fast speed spell, but all the other text was the same, I think. No, it dealt 6 damage. It dealt 6 damage. She used to be the 666 champion.
devastating.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That's it. I don't remember that stage in the game.
Yeah,
But
Lux used to have to attack. It was really silly. Because she lost barrier, and then you're like, damn, my champion doesn't do anything anymore.
this is useless to me.
It's like turn 8, and I'm trying to attack in with my 5/6.
And I believe that like one of the other things is that didn't we saw Vladimir get a change at one point. I bought like I think did Vladimir I might be right or wrong. I'm not 100% sure about this. At one point, didn't he have to see 6 people? Or is it just that he went down to like I know, or is he always 5?
Yes.
And then they made it because that buff wasn't enough, and so then they made it so that, and I believe this is the way that Vlad should have been all along. In the fact that obviously the attack in order mattered in that because literally like he didn't used to have the text whereby everyone to the right of him he dealt 1 damage to. He just literally used to do 1 damage to everyone on the field, like on your side, like regardless of where they were placed. So sometimes you'd go into an attack basically be killing your own stuff, but you sometimes needed that for the heals.
So I just returned to playing like I just returned to playing LOR a lot just recently. I'm back to streaming again, and pretty much the first thing I did live on stream was forget that Vladimir only drained from the right. Like pretty,
Oh,
pretty much
oh,
the first game I played, I attacked it and missed lethal because Vladimir was on my far right.
devastating.
Yeah, feels bad, man. But you know, it's on brand that like the first thing I do is punt.
But
But I believe the first buff they gave him was that he drained on his back face, and then they gave him the to the right thing and reduced him down to 5 allies.
yeah,
I believe.
because yeah, and that it seemed to actually see a little bit more play now. Of like some of the cards got added like Scar Grounds and everything. It's like slowly but surely like OP. It's the same as Yasuo. Everyone keeps trying to make him a thing.
Yeah, yes, that's one thing that's never changed is that Yasuo will always be shit.
I mean, like, it just needs that one extra stun, man. Just wait for
Please
that
no.
one extra stun
I
synergy.
want. I sincerely hope they never buff Yasuo. Leave this man out of the game.
Every single time when any new stun card enters the game, Yasuo always like is go. Let's try and make one. Let's try and make another Yasuo deck, and then you're always massively disappointed. But
It's
every time I was still full for it. Okay.
he's not a real card. He's like I have one Yasuo deck. It's called Yasuo Swain, and I called it Mono Swain.
Yeah.
That is my only Yasuo deck, and I made it just to do some missions.
I mean, it is the best version of Yasuo. Like some people try to throw him in with Targon to obviously work with Leona with those things, but the best synergies are always going to be at the moment in Noxus for stuns. If there are any good synergies for stuns,
Yeah, like you can't build. This has been like an issue with Yasuo since day one. Is you can't build Yasuo without the 5 cost roar card to
yeah,
like stun everything with 4 or less power.
it's such a powerful card with that deck.
Yeah, so Yasuo is the only champion in this game that is dual colored. Like you have to play Yasuo in Ionia Noxus. You have no other choice. Tom Kench is pretty close. Like you pretty much have to play him with Targon, but you can try and play him with Freljord. Yasuo is like the only champion in the game where you are locked into 2 colors. It's really sad.
I mean, maybe one day. Maybe one
Maybe,
day.
maybe.
Just don't give up hope. Don't
I,
give up hope on that, man. I
I,
remember
I,
when
I sincerely hope he's never good.
I still actually remember when there was like a resurge of, but we can throw him in with Aphelios because Aphelios has got the slide. Literally, that was like the first.
Yeah.
I believe even in Aphelios's original like release video had him with a Yasuo deck, right? In terms of like
Yes.
showing off the stun one with Yasuo, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's his time," and
The the, the
even
release.
Moon Man couldn't save him, and we're talking Moon Man in the way that he was beforehand, people.
Yeah, 3 costs 3/3 with Nightfall draw a card better than any card in your deck. Yeah. That being said, I don't think the trailers mean anything when it comes to synergies. Riven's trailer had her with Nox Karana Arena.
Oh, I need to make another arena deck. It's one of those landmarks that literally I feel I will always want to try and make a deck around it. Like the other one, like literally, like because obviously remember landmarks didn't even used to be in the game at one point.
I remember.
Exactly, but obviously the other one that I always want to potentially try and find something with is Vaults of Helia, but I feel like Vaults of Helia's main problem is its cost. It is a 5 cost, which is going to be losing you tempo because every single time it's killing the most expensive unit to summon another. Literally, all Vaults needs is reduce its cost, reduce Vault's cost down to like 2 or something, because you're still losing tempo because you are still having to kill a unit to make another unit, and bearing in mind your opponent, the second that you play Vaults, knows exactly what's going on, and so will always be aiming for trying to kill your highest one anyway. So for Vaults to get any form of use, I was thinking to reduce that cost down a lot.
Really like the cards from Hearthstone that care about like your deck building and let you start the game with a significant advantage if you have built your deck in a certain way. And going into the future, I would love for there to be a dumb deck building restriction that lets you start with Vaults of Helia in play.
Yeah, for those of you who don't play Hearthstone or have never played Hearthstone, are new to card games and whatnot, do not know that Hearthstone actually had a really funny mechanic whereby there was two things based on whether or not your deck was all even numbers or all odd numbers. Well, literally, your whole deck has to be made of nothing but even numbers, or your whole deck has to be made of nothing but odd numbers, and it had different effects for the like. One of those was arguably better than the other.
Oh yeah, like absolutely. But that being said, if LOR does do that, I'd like them to go in a bit more timid than Hearthstone did, because again, for people who don't know, they had to remove those cards from the game after one season.
Yeah,
Basically, as soon as they had the opportunity to move them into Wild, which is like modern for Magic players, or basically deleted for LOR players, uh, as soon as they had the opportunity to remove it from the game, they removed it from the game.
yep. No, you're not, I mean, you're not wrong. But that's what was funny about those cards.
Was that they were hilariously overpowered.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and so I would love for them to do some, like as you say, nothing as stupid as that, but I would love for at some point in the future to make some kind of cards that do something along those lines. That it
I,
is an all through the game effect, depending on what you've done.
I just like start of game effects. Like, you know that one 5 cost from Hearthstone, which at the start of the game shuffles 5 legendaries into your deck?
Yeah,
Like, it sucks, but I play it in every deck I've ever played in Hearthstone. Like,
yeah,
because sometimes you get something cool. And I would love to see start of game shuffle 5 random champions into your deck. I think it
yeah,
would actually be a lot better than 5 random legendaries, but I'd
yeah.
still like to see
I,
it.
I would love to see it. So basically, I'd say that the deck thing for that would have to be you've got no champions in your deck, no champions in your deck whatsoever, and but you have got to have one copy of this card, which then makes it so that having no like, and then basically that gives you, if anything, that's either got to be Freljord because Freljord's already got a randomizer of champions with the Abyss, or just the stupidity of just putting it into pins.
Yeah.
Just put it into pins for stupid. I would love that.
I like say what you will about concurrent timelines, but we need more cards like it in the game. For a card game to have a healthy future, it needs to have a healthy dose of cards that are very silly.
Yeah,
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 like
you're not wrong.
yeah.
And
Uh
like even going to like Hearthstone stats, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that anyone needs to put anything like this, but even Reno Jackson, which was literally you can only have one, like it's basically making a singleton deck. You cannot have any cards which are the same in a deck, but you get a really powerful effect off of it in the fact that you can just heal yourself back up to maximum by having Reno Jackson. The stupidity of that, I would love, in all
yeah.
honesty. Like,
Whenever I heal to full in LOR, I say, or in my opponent either, even I say that they or I have Renoed, and my like a
we're
lot of my
gonna be rich.
we're gonna be rich. A lot of my chat doesn't know what that means, but they've started using it as an expression, which I find very funny. Like
Yeah.
Renoed is just a verb now.
Oh, good old Reno. Like, it's the fact that people don't know. Like, that's the thing. I think that some of our because obviously we've both come from Hearthstone. We've got really Hearthstoney references that if you've
Yeah,
never played, no one knows what the hell we're talking about. But it's good
like
times.
like I every time someone plays the Mage Seeker cards, the card that enters and he says something along the lines of "Mages can't hide from me." He has the exact same voice as Ilna. What's his name? Ilna, the Demon Hunter. Like,
Um, yeah, no, I
well,
can't remember. I can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Illidan.
Illidan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When Illidan goes demons, demons, like it's the same fucking voice, and I can't stop making that connection. So whenever someone plays that card, I just like I have Tourette's. I just go, demons, and my chat doesn't know what the fuck I'm going on about.
But it's funny things like that. I do think that we potentially might see more start of game stuff, considering the fact that Sun Disc has that ability of start of game draw me, of which it
Yeah,
so we might start to see more cards which go along that line. And I would honestly God love to see that, as you say, just the quality of having something which is start of game, just like if your deck is built, because obviously that is your deck has to be built a certain way. You have to have only Shurima cards, otherwise that start of game thing does not happen. So having more things that go along those lines, they say like at start of game, if all your deck is odd, if all your deck is even, if you don't have any champions, if like there's so many different things that you could literally go. If your deck has no spells, or if your deck has no no followers or units, things like that, and then this card, whatever it is, does something really stupid. I would love that.
yeah.
I
I want there to be more. I think more dumb, over the top, slightly less than powerful cards. Like, because I mean, I think Sundisk does it perfectly. Actually, Sundisk is you can win with it, and it feels amazing winning with it. It does huge, over the top, stupid things, but it's just a bit less than meta. That with perfect execution on Sundisk. I don't think they should really ever buff that deck archetype.
Yeah, it's a really good archetype. It did get slightly buffed with what's his face, like now making it so it goes down by 3
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than 2. But yeah, no, I love the idea because you got to have Egyptian gods in there somewhere, right? Like a full on Egyptian god deck. You got to have that somewhere in your meta,
yeah.
but just for banter's sake. But yeah, I feel like they've done an amazing job throughout the entire year. All of the like updates and whatnot, all of the like changes that they've made, nerfs, buffs, all that. Yep, sure. Some of them have hit, some of them which have like a missed, but it always shows that they are continuously trying, and the speed in which they get these out. I think that people need to realize they do a fantastic job, and they do listen to the community. Of like some of the patch notes just shows that they listen to the community, and hopefully like they keep going on like that. And so I am massively excited to see where this game is going to go in the next year, the next like 10 years, whatever, however long this game lasts.
Here's to another year. I believe is the expression.
Here is to another year indeed. I honestly cannot wait to get more and build more stupid decks. Because as long as they, in every single set, as long as they put in some silly card, I will be building with it.
I'll be there.
I will be there. So, yes, I believe.
Shall,
Shall we wrap this up?
shall we close out? Yes, it's the stage is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Bear in mind, people, now that if you didn't know, we are now not just on YouTube, but SoundCloud and Spotify now, I believe. Hopefully, Spotify is working for us
Yeah, it's
now.
working. It's working fine. Episode 7 is on Spotify and available.
Fantastic.
It feels really weird seeing our icon when you search up like if you search Legends of Runeterra on Spotify, we're only like 5 down.
Nice!
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So honestly, if you want to check out more, like there's so many different ways to get us in your ear holes. So why not consider if you've not done those? As well as that, there's the links too, because both me and Janky stream. So if you want to check us out, our link should be down below, as well as the links to just our standard YouTube channels as well. I know that I get out daily content. I believe that Janky's getting out
Weekly,
content, yeah,
weekly for me.
weekly.
Yeah.
So if you want to check out our stuff, please links down below. I just hope that you have a fantastic day, evening, night, or whatever the hell it is for you. And yes, until next time. Bye.
But